Hola clase, bienvenidos a la lectura, the lesson, writing a story in Spanish. We're going to use our story, sorry about this, we're going to use our story, Richard E. Baby, to extend our writing skills, to practice different tenses in Spanish. So here we go. Number 1, learning target today. I can use storytelling to communicate in Spanish because life is just a story. When we talk to our friends, when we talk to family, when we talk to people that we're meeting for the first time, in a job interview, the communication skills that we're using is storytelling. Talking about things that we used to do in the past, things that we've learned, places we've been. It's a lot of it is storytelling. So that's why we use storytelling a lot in Spanish class to communicate. Our second target is something that we began in class yesterday. I can begin to see patterns of language and grammar in the Spanish that I read. So it's being a little more intentional about Spanish reading, and when we're doing our choice books, for example, being intentional about noticing the grammar, and also being intentional about the grammar that you choose when you are writing in Spanish. And then target 3 is I can add details to the class story. And here's our class story. Los zapatos Croc buscan el amor de verdad. And so you're going to be practicing your writing. This assignment that I'm giving to you now, we begin on Friday together as a class in supported Spanish, and we continue throughout next week. So there's no need to dig into this too deeply after the video. You're just going to watch the video and let that kind of sink in. And I'm going to escape real quick and make sure I'm still recording. Yes. Okay. All right, so let's dig in. Here's our sub-target for writing a story. I can use setting, plot, description, dialogue, and morals in order to write a story in Spanish. Here's some vocab for us: el cuento, el escenario, la trama, la descripción, el diálogo, moraleja. Here's something interesting to note. We were talking about yesterday the 2 past tenses in Spanish. So in order to talk about things that happened in the past. And there's kind of 2. We have the preterite and the imperfect. The preterite, we decided, was used basically just for events. So just for things that happened. Events that happened in the past with a definite beginning and end. And or places you went. Or a chain of events, right? A sequence of events. First I woke up, then I got dressed, then I made coffee, and then I did my work. Imperfect is the other past tense. The imperfect is pretty much for everything else. So it's for the setting. It's for description in the past. The plot is like things that happened. That is going to be the preterite. Diálogo will be the preterite because it's like he said. He just said it. It's an event in the past. He said it. But a lot of our dialogue, the actual people talking, can be written in the present tense because it's happening in real time. Okay. So, I must have just done something that's funny. So, the description of setting is always going to be the imperfect tense. Okay, so that's where you see the aba and ia endings, right? Like trabajaba or vivía or comía, right? And we use this for description of la fecha, la hora, la estación del año, and el tiempo, the weather. So here's some examples of those. I also put the present tense after the slash line so you could see them both. So if you're not familiar with like Spanish, looking at words in Spanish is a little weird for you, and just note that those are two different tenses. That's the past. That's like saying it was Wednesday, and es is like saying it is Wednesday. Okay, so here's some examples of imperfecto, the description of the past. Era miércoles el 25 de diciembre. It was Wednesday, the 25th of December. Eran las 6 de la tarde. It was 6 in the afternoon. Era el medio del invierno. It was the middle of winter. Había mucha nieve. There was a lot of snow. Y hacía mucho frío. It was very cold. So these are all examples of description in the past. Here we go. More description in the past, imperfecto. Here's what we have so far for our story. Oh, I forgot to mention, we don't have this in our story yet, so that's something that you're going to be adding. When you're going to be writing your version of the story, you'll add a little bit of details here. But you may add these details when Richard is in Taco Bell and when Baby is online dating. So you'll add those details for that climax part of the plot. Here's some description of setting. Los zapatos Croc vivía en Marte. En Marte hacía mucho frío y a veces hacía mucho calor. So on Mars, sometimes it's really cold, sometimes it's really hot. So that's a little description of their setting from here, right? The weather. When Richard goes to Taco Bell, what does it look like? Es el restaurante, era muy grande, era pequeño. Era limpio, was it clean? Or era sucio, was it dirty? It smells. ¿Cómo olía? Olía bueno, olía malo, olía a tacos. It smelled like tacos. How did it sound? Did you hear voices? Was the place peaceful? Was it crowded? Whatever. Talk about the shoes, the characters' likes and dislikes. General description of characters in the past, again, is the imperfect tense. Here you can see the actual endings. Aba. 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 That's for verbs that end in AR, like gustar, encantar, odiar. But you'll notice that the verbs that end in ER and IR have a different ending, ia. And we'll look at those too. Here's another way to develop characters. Richard piensa que. Richard thinks that something is better than something. Richard piensa que chocolate es mejor que vainilla. Richard piensa que McDonald's es mejor que Taco Bell. Maybe. Baby piensa que arquitectura es mejor que ser doctora. Being an architect is better than being a doctor. Richard quiere dinero. Baby quiere el amor. Okay? So give these characters a little more life in your assignment. Here's a description of the people. This is what we have so far in our story. You get some artistic license here to do a little more. So this is already information we know. Había un par de zapatos. Los zapatos eran del estilo Croc. There was a pair of shoes. They were the style Croc. Eran del color azul. They were blue. Se llamaban Richard y Baby y vivían en Marte. They were named Richard and Baby and they lived on Mars. Oh, a little more information. Los dos zapatos eran mujeres. They were both women. Female identifying. Okay. Here we go. More imperfecto. More imperfect tense. What was their physical appearance? So describe maybe the people that they meet. Their dating shoes. What do they have? ¿Qué tenían? Imperfect again. This is all description. They always would wear. Sometimes they would wear, they would never wear. Era muy de moda. This is like Sam and Extra. No era muy de moda. It's not very fashionable. Here you can draw from your extra vocab if you want to do this. That would be from episode 2. Siempre, nunca, a veces. Always, never, sometimes. I just like to incorporate this. I did it in the last slide, you'll see. Always wore, sometimes wore, never wore. It's helpful to distinguish the characters' likes and dislikes and their general personalities. So cuando Richard era una niña, remember we said Richard was a girl, woman, even though it's traditionally in our culture a male name. Cuando Richard era una niña, siempre or nunca. Cuando baby era una niña, siempre o nunca. Ahora, now. So here in this part of the story, you want to detail how. So how has the character changed from past to present? This is a pivotal moment in the story for you to move from how they used to be to how they are now. So how did she used to be? How was Richard before? How has she changed? How was baby before? How has she changed? Some more phrases for you that are really, really helpful just for Spanish storytelling or for language in general. This many years ago, this many days ago. So, for example, hace 5 años, 5 years ago. Hace 5 años, yo tuve un bebé. 5 years ago, I had a baby. Hace 2 días, 2 days ago, hace 2 días, yo fui al mercado. I went to the market. Hace 2 días, 2 days ago. Hace 3 meses, yo compré una casa. 3 months ago, I bought a house. Yo compré una casa. These are all examples of the preterite tense, you guys. Except for this last one. Cuando tenía blank años. That's age is always in the imperfect, but these are preterite because it's this many years ago, this happened. This many days ago, this happened. This is a specific indicator of time, which makes it preterito. But age is different. Cuando tenía blank años. In Spanish, we always say when somebody was and had an amount of years, that's how you say how old someone is. Okay. So here's your basic exposition. This is where the action begins. And the action begins in Taco Bell, for example. So Richard, because Richard goes to Taco Bell para buscar el amor, to look for love. So Richard estaba en Taco Bell. Quería buscar el amor. Estaba muy nervioso. You can make this whatever you want. That's just an example, right? But in your story, you'll write it however. Entonces, Richard fue al baño y vio un zapato muy bonita de Air Jordan y le dijo, hola, Air Jordan, me gusta tu cheque. I like your check. I don't know. Or, me gusta tu color. Tú eres muy azul. I like your color. You're very blue. Okay. And so he thought to himself, Richard, she thought to herself, oh, me encanta este zapato. I love this shoe. I don't know. What did she think to herself? Did she think that she found true love? That she discovered? Or maybe she found a shoe that she didn't love, but she thought baby would love. So, okay. This is the plot. This is the part of the story that's happening. This is an option to extend your dialogue. Really make your dialogue beefy. It's fun. Dialogue's fun. He asked. answered, shouted, whispered. Again, chicken.